UN Security Council calls on terrorist groups to withdraw from UN headquarters in the Syrian Golan and the immediate release of kidnapped UN soldiers. Units of the Syrian Arab Army continue making progress in Jobar and take control of new buildings. Iraqi armed forces make progress in Salah ad-Din and Kirkuk, killing dozens of ISIL terrorists. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Yarado Krikorian from the News Center in Damascus. The UN Security Council has called for the departure of all terrorist organizations from the positions of the UN peacekeepers serving within the UN Disengagement Observer Force UNDOF and from Quneitra crossing point. The Council also called for the return of all the weapons and equipment which the armed groups took by force. In a unanimously adopted declaration, the Council reiterated condemnation of the kidnapping of more than 40 UN soldiers working in the Syrian Golan, calling for their release immediately and unconditionally. The Council affirmed that UNDOF's mandate, impartiality, operations, safety and security must be respected. It is to be noted that Jabhat al-Nusra has claimed responsibility for the kidnapping of the UN soldiers. As the Western concerns increase regarding the potential return of terrorists to their home countries, the American ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, said that U.S. President Barack Obama will head a UN Security Council meeting on the 25th of this month at the level of heads of states and governments to discuss the potential threats posed by foreign terrorists in Iraq and Syria. The Syrian Arab Army continues its operations to restore security and eliminate the terrorists. Several armed men have been killed and wounded in Aleppo Castle and 7 neighborhoods in the city of Aleppo. A Syrian Arab Army unit also targeted terrorist cars on Aleppo-Hama highway near Az-Zarba, destroying them and killing the armed men inside. Syrian Arab Army units carried out a series of operations against terrorist groups in Dar al-Balad, killing many terrorists and wounding others at the center of Atman town on the road of Al-Yaduda Atman near Atman Dam and in the northern part of the town in the countryside of Daraa. Other Syrian Arab Army units killed and injured a number of terrorists near Tal al-Mahas, northwest of Nimar, and to the southwest of the granaries in Al-Yaduda, Inkhil and Sheikh Saad in the countryside. Meanwhile, in Dar al-Balad in the city, a Syrian Arab Army unit destroyed a convoy of terrorist vehicles in the surrounding of Abu Huraira Mosque, leaving many of the terrorists dead and wounded. In Jobar, in Damascus countryside, Syrian Arab Army units continued to lay siege on armed terrorist groups, killing a large number of them and making considerable progress in various areas. The Syrian Arab Army took control of several new buildings and destroyed terrorist hideouts there. Other units of the Syrian Arab Army took control of a number of buildings like Tiba Mosque, which was transformed by terrorists into a military barrack. They even planted explosive devices all around it, blowing it up before they withdrew. In Iraq, the Iraqi Air Force has launched several airstrikes targeting ISIS gatherings in Al-Hawajah province in Kirkuk and Al-Mosul, killing 22 terrorists, including al-Baghdadi's main assistant, the Syrian Abu Hajar. They also repelled an attack by ISIS armed men in Al-Dulu'ayya province, killing a large number of terrorists. The Iraqi forces also stormed into Tikrit, where clashes erupted, resulting in retaking the hospital of Tikrit University and eliminating more than 100 armed men. The lakes area north of Babil was also liberated from ISIS groups. The NATO aggression on Libya 3 years ago has turned the country into a haven for thousands of armed militiamen who have been fighting over the fortunes of the country, particularly the so-called Ansar al-Sharia terrorist group, whose strong links with the terrorist ISIS organization in Syria and Iraq have increasingly started to unfold.
The ongoing unrest Libya has been witnessing since the NATO invasion of the country has turned it into a place that harbors terrorist armed groups whose number, according to confirmed reports, has exceeded 1,700 militiamen. Director of Al Jumhuriyah Center for Strategic Studies, Major General Samih Saif al-Yazal, who disclosed this number, says the terrorist Ansar al-Sharia is at the top of those groups in terms of the acts of terrorism and devastation perpetrated in the country, revealing its affiliation to the terrorist ISIS organization. A report prepared by the Libyan human rights establishment, on the other hand, has revealed that the Muslim Brotherhood organization in Libya now has under its control all the state sectors, including the presidency of the Army General Staff, thus enjoying free control of public funds through dominating the warmongers and the armed militias leaders within ISIS. The organization's statistics have revealed that the Muslim Brotherhood has taken hold of millions of dollars in a period of 2 years. Libyan military sources, on the other hand, affirm that the Muslim Brotherhood in Libya has become the major smugglers of drugs and weapons to Mali, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt and Syria with the assistance of Turkey and Qatar.
2 Palestinians died after sustaining injuries during the Israeli aggression on Gaza Strip. In the West Bank, Israeli occupation troops broke into several Palestinian areas, arresting 11 Palestinians. In occupied Jerusalem, Israeli trucks and bulldozers demolished 2 houses in Beit Hanania as Israeli settlers broke into the tomb of Prophet Joseph east of Nablus. Israeli occupation soldiers used tear gas and sound bombs against the Palestinians, causing many suffocation cases. Human Rights Watch has called on the Israeli occupation authorities to reverse its decision to illegally seize a large area of the Palestinian lands in the occupied West Bank south of Jerusalem. The New York-based organization has warned that such decision, announced on the 1st of this month, paves the way for the construction of a big settlement near Beit Lahem in the West Bank, and that the transfer of settlers to the occupied lands constitutes a war crime. It is to be noted that the Israeli authorities have declared since last January plans to build more than 8,000 settlement units. Now over to latest business and market news, but after a short break, stay tuned.